movement a testament to her resilience. But inside, she felt the sting of Isabel's comments, like thorns prickling her skin. She missed her children, who depended on her. After long hours at the mansion, she rushed to pick them up from school, her heart racing with the need to be there for them. "Mommy, you're here!" her youngest exclaimed, running to her with open arms. Clara scooped him up, the warmth of his embrace washing away the harshness of her day. "Did you have fun?" she asked, her voice brightening. "Yes, we painted," he replied, his eyes sparkling with joy. Clara smiled, her heart swelling with love. She was their rock, the one who fought through the toughest days to give them a better life. Meanwhile, Isabel watched from the mansion's window, her gaze lingering on Clara as she interacted with her children. For the first time, a flicker of empathy ignited within her. She noticed the way Clara knelt down, listening intently to her children's stories, the laughter ringing like music. Yet, the walls built by privilege kept Isabel from reaching out. Instead, she turned away, feeling a mixture of guilt and confusion. One evening, while Clara was on a call in the kitchen, Isabel happened to overhear her. Clara's voice trembled as she spoke. "I'm so scared, Mom. The doctor said it could be serious. I don't know what I'll do if something happens." Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes, her fears laid bare in that moment. Isabel felt her heart tighten. She had always seen Clara as just an employee, someone beneath her. Yet now, she realized that Clara was a mother, just like her. They both carried burdens, though they were different in weight and form. Isabel stepped back, retreating into the shadows, wrestling with her own emotions. The next day, Isabel decided to confront her feelings. During breakfast, she caught Clara's eye and tried to speak, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, she opted to remain silent, watching as Clara moved about the kitchen, her face a mask of concentration. Clara felt Isabel's gaze and turned, a question in her eyes. "Is everything okay, Miss Isabel?" Isabel hesitated, then replied, "What do you want for lunch today?" The question surprised Clara, who had grown used to the snide remarks. I can make whatever you like," Clara responded, cautious yet hopeful. "Just make something simple," Isabel said, her tone softer than usual. Clara nodded, unsure of what to make of this shift. As the day went on, Isabel found herself reflecting on the phone call she had overheard. The weight of Clara's worries lingered in her mind. She wanted to reach out, to say something comforting, but the words eluded her. Instead, she slipped into her usual routine, hiding behind her privilege and entitlement. Yet, something was changing. Isabel found herself drawn to Clara's strength, the way she carried herself despite the harsh words thrown at her. It was as if Clara's resilience was a mirror, reflecting Isabel's own fears and insecurities. The more she watched Clara, the more she felt the walls around her heart beginning to crack. That evening, Clara received a call from her mother's doctor. The news was not good, and the weight of despair settled heavily on her shoulders. She whispered, "I'll do everything I can, Mom," her voice shaking. Isabel, overhearing once again, felt the stirrings of a connection she had never recognized before. Clara's vulnerability resonated with her, and for the first time, Isabel considered the possibility of empathy, a bridge she had never dared to cross. As Clara hung up the phone, she wiped her tears and took a deep breath. She was determined to keep going for her children, but deep down, she felt the loneliness of her struggle. Isabel stood watching, feeling the ache of understanding, yet still trapped in her own world of privilege and pride. The tension in the mansion lingered, but so did the faint promise of change. The mansion was alive with laughter and music as guests mingled, their laughter echoing through the lavish halls. Isabel, dressed in a stunning gown that shimmered under the soft lights, stood on the balcony, looking down at the crowd. She felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, a pressure that came not just from the expectations of those around her, but also from the expectations she placed on herself. Suddenly, Clara entered the room, dressed in a simple but elegant outfit that made her stand out among the glittering crowd. Isabel had invited her as a guest, a decision that shocked both women. Clara's eyes widened in disbelief as she stepped into the grand hall. She felt out of place, surrounded by the wealth and opulence that defined Isabel's world. Isabel watched Clara as she moved through the crowd, her posture straightening, a newfound confidence shining through her initial hesitation. There was strength in her eyes, a warmth that Isabel had never noticed before. The contrast to the poorly dressed servant she once saw was striking. "Clara!" Isabel called out, her voice cutting through the music. Clara turned, surprised to hear Isabel's voice. "Isabel?" Clara replied, her tone uncertain. "Come here. Join me," Isabel urged, her heart racing. As Clara approached, Isabel felt an unexpected rush of vulnerability. She had always hidden behind a mask of arrogance, but tonight, she felt different. She took a deep breath and stood in front of her guests, ready to speak. "Everyone," Isabel began, her voice steady but soft. "I want to say a few words." The crowd quieted, curiosity piqued. We often look at people through the lens of our own lives. We see their clothes, their jobs, and we think we know them. But tonight, I want to share something about myself. Clara's heart raced as she listened. Isabel continued, "I have lived a life filled with privilege, but that does not mean I am free from fear. I have always felt this pressure to be perfect, to meet the expectations of everyone around me, and sometimes I took that pressure out on others." Isabel glanced at Clara, her eyes reflecting a vulnerability that was rarely seen. "Clara, I have treated you poorly. I thought that by belittling you, I could distract myself from my own insecurities. I was wrong. I see now how strong you are. You carry so much on your shoulders, and I admire that." Tears started to well up in Clara's eyes. She had never expected to hear such words from Isabel. "Thank you, Isabel. She began, but Isabel raised her hand gently. "Please, let me finish," Isabel said, her voice breaking. "I have grown tired of wearing this mask. I want to be honest with you all. My actions were not a reflection of you, but of my own fears. I am truly sorry." The room was silent. Clara felt a wave of emotion wash over her. Isabel's admission created a connection between them, a bond forged in shared vulnerability. "I never meant to hurt you," Isabel continued, her gaze steady. "I want to do better. I want to help you." Clara blinked away her tears, feeling overwhelmed. "You mean it?" she asked softly. "Yes," Isabel replied, her voice firm yet gentle. "I want to help you and your family. Let's work together. I know I cannot erase the past, but I want to make things right. You deserve that." In that moment, Clara felt the weight of her struggles lift slightly. Isabel's sincerity touched her heart, and she nodded slowly, accepting the olive branch offered to her. "Thank you," Clara whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I accept your apology." Isabel smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her face. "Then let's start anew, Clara. We both have our battles, and perhaps we can help each other along the way." As the party continued around them, the two women stood together on the balcony, sharing an understanding that transcended their past conflicts. In that moment, they both realized that their lives were not so different after all. They were two women fighting their own battles, each deserving of kindness and compassion. As the party's laughter faded into the background, Isabel felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had spoken from the heart, revealing the insecurities that often hid behind her harsh words. Now, a sense of vulnerability surrounded her, and she needed to act on the feelings that had been stirred within her. With newfound courage, Isabel walked toward Clara, who stood near the grand staircase, her expression a mix of surprise and caution. "Clara," Isabel began, her voice soft but steady. "Can we talk for a moment?" Clara looked taken aback. The last time they had spoken, Isabel's words had cut deep. Still, the sincerity in Isabel's eyes made her hesitate. Sure," Clara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Isabel took a deep breath, her heart racing. I want to apologize for how I treated you. I was wrong to belittle you. I see that now." She paused, searching Clara's face for a reaction. "I've caused you pain, and I deeply regret it." Clara's brow furrowed as she absorbed Isabel's words. The apology felt unexpected, like a sudden storm in a clear sky. "You think just saying sorry makes it all better?" she asked, her tone cautious but not unkind. Isabel lowered her gaze. "No, I don't think it does. But I want to try to make things right. I want to help you, if you'll let me." She met Clara's eyes again, determination shining through. "I heard you on the phone the other day, about your mother. I want to help her." Clara's heart raced. The thought of Isabel helping her mother, a woman who had fought so hard to stay healthy, felt surreal. You would do that?" Clara asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Yes," Isabel replied, her sincerity unwavering. "I have connections. I can help you navigate the healthcare system. I want to ensure your mother gets the care she needs." Clara studied Isabel closely. She searched for any hint of insincerity, but all she saw was a woman wrestling with her own fears. "Why now?" Clara asked. "Why do you want to help after everything?" Isabel sighed, her shoulders slumping. "Because I've realized that my pride and my need to feel superior only hurt others and myself. I thought being wealthy made me better, but it didn't. It just made me lonely." Her voice cracked slightly. "I want to change, Clara. I want to be better." The two women stood there, the weight of their past still lingering, but now accompanied by a flicker of hope. Clara felt a mix of emotions swirling within her: anger, confusion, and something unexpected: compassion. "I appreciate your offer, Isabel," Clara finally said, her tone softening. "But it's hard to trust you after everything." "I understand," Isabel replied, her eyes pleading for forgiveness. "It will take time, and I know I have to earn your trust. But I truly want to help. We both have our battles to fight, and maybe we can do it together." Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had spent so much time feeling small and unworthy. The idea of standing alongside Isabel, who once seemed so far removed from her reality, was both daunting and exhilarating. "Okay," Clara said slowly. "Let's see how this goes." Isabel smiled, a genuine smile that lit up her face. "Thank you, Clara. I promise to do my best." As they stood together, the world around them seemed to fade. For the first time, they saw each other not as heiress and servant, but as two women, each carrying their own burdens. They were both fighting for their families, striving for a better life. In that moment, they understood that empathy could bridge the gap between their worlds. "Let's meet tomorrow," Isabel suggested. "We can start making a plan for your mother." Clara nodded, a shy smile creeping onto her face. "I'd like that." And with that, a new chapter began, one filled with the promise of understanding and friendship. As the days turned into weeks, a subtle change began in the mansion. Isabel and Clara found themselves meeting more often, each encounter slowly building a bridge between their very different worlds. One sunny afternoon, they sat together in the garden, surrounded by vibrant flowers and the sweet scent of blooming jasmine. The air was filled with the sound of birds chirping, creating a perfect backdrop for their growing friendship. Clara took a sip of her coffee, feeling the warmth of the cup in her hands. "You know, my kids have big dreams," she said, a soft smile spreading across her face. "Liam wants to be a doctor, and Mia dreams of being an artist." Isabel leaned forward, genuinely interested. "Really? That's amazing. What do you do to help them reach their dreams?" Clara sighed, her gaze drifting to the blooming roses. "I work long hours, and I try to save every penny I can. I want to give them the life I never had. Sometimes, it feels like a lot of pressure, but I do it for them." Isabel nodded, her heart softening. "I can imagine. It must be so hard to juggle everything." Clara turned her eyes to Isabel, sensing a change in her tone. "What about you? You seem so alone sometimes, even with all this." She gestured around the lavish garden. Wealth. Isabel hesitated, the question catching her off guard. I guess you could say that. Everyone expects me to be perfect, to have it all figured out. But I often feel trapped by those expectations. Clara's brow furrowed in concern. Trapped? But you have everything, right? Isabel chuckled softly, a hint of sadness in her voice. Not everything. I have a beautiful home and money, but I don't have true friends. It feels like people only see my wealth, not me. Clara could see the honesty in Isabel's eyes. That's tough, she whispered. We all want to be seen for who we are, not what we have. The two women exchanged a moment of silence, each reflecting on their lives. Then, Clara spoke again, her voice filled with determination. I want to make sure my children have the medical care they need. My mother is sick, and it's been hard to manage everything. I don't know how to navigate the healthcare system. Isabel's expression shifted, her mind racing with possibilities. Maybe we could do this together. I can help you find the right doctors and resources. Clara looked at Isabel, surprised. You would do that for me? Of course, Isabel replied, sincerity radiating from her. I want to help. I've realized how important it is to connect with others, to be part of something larger than myself. A smile broke across Clara's face, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. Thank you, Isabel. I never expected this kind of kindness from you. As they continued to talk, they began to make a plan. They discussed doctors, treatments, and insurance options, both women feeling the weight of their burdens lift just a bit as they worked together. The laughter that filled the air was genuine, breaking down the walls that had once separated them. Let's meet tomorrow to go over everything, Clara suggested, her excitement evident. I can bring some files and notes from my mother's doctor. Great idea, Isabel replied, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. And I can ask my family's doctor for advice. I have a feeling we can make this happen. Together, they forged a new path, one where mutual respect and understanding flourished. The garden, once a place of solitude for Isabel, became a symbol of their blossoming friendship. As they shared stories, dreams, and fears, the barriers of pride and judgment began to crumble. Who would have thought we would end up here? Clara mused, her voice filled with wonder. Two women from such different worlds, working side by side. Isabel smiled, her heart swelling with warmth. Life is full of surprises, Clara. I think we're just getting started. And as they sat there, the sun setting behind the trees, the future seemed bright, filled with hope and the promise of a new beginning. The sun rose gently over the mansion, casting warm rays that danced through the elegant windows. Clara stood in the living room, nervously adjusting her dress. Today was a big day. Isabel had arranged for Clara's mother to receive the medical care she needed, and Clara could hardly believe it was happening. As Clara paced the room, Isabel entered with a confident stride. Are you ready? She asked, her voice filled with both excitement and a hint of nervousness. Clara turned to face her, her heart racing. I think so. I can't believe you're really doing this for my mother. Isabel smiled softly, a new light in her eyes. You deserve this, Clara. We've both come a long way. Let's make it happen. The journey to the clinic was filled with anticipation. Clara's mind raced with thoughts of her mother and the many times she had to worry about her health. Isabel, sensing Clara's anxiety, spoke up. You know, I used to think that my life was perfect just because I had everything. But now, I see that true happiness comes from helping others. Clara nodded, still overwhelmed. I never expected this from you, Isabel. You've changed so much. Isabel glanced over at Clara, a thoughtful look on her face. I've learned that kindness is more valuable than all the riches in the world, and seeing you smile brings me joy. As they approached the clinic, Clara spotted her mother sitting in a small waiting area. Clara's heart swelled with love and fear. She rushed to her mother, wrapping her arms around her tightly. Mom, I'm here. We're going to get you the help you need. Her mother looked up, her eyes filled with warmth, but also confusion. What do you mean, Clara? How can this be? Isabel stepped forward, her presence commanding yet gentle. I'm Isabel, and I've arranged for your treatment today. You don't have to worry anymore. Clara's mother blinked in disbelief. You? Why would you help us? I realized that everyone deserves support, Isabel replied sincerely. Your daughter means a lot to me, and I want to make a difference. Tears welled in Clara's eyes as she pulled her mother close once more. This is real, Mom. We are not alone anymore. The nurse called Clara's mother into the examination room, and Clara felt a mix of hope and anxiety. Isabel stayed close, offering her hand to Clara. You've got this. I'm right here. After what felt like an eternity, Clara's mother emerged from the room, a new light in her eyes. The doctor says I can start treatment right away, she announced, her voice trembling with relief. Clara hugged her mother tightly again, and Isabel joined them, wrapping her arms around both women. This is just the beginning, Isabel said, her voice firm. We will get through this together. Days turned into weeks, and as Clara's mother began her treatment, the bond between the two women deepened. They often met in the garden of the mansion, sharing stories over cups of tea. Clara spoke of her children's dreams and the little moments that made life beautiful, while Isabel shared her thoughts on loneliness and the pressure of expectations. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Clara looked at Isabel thoughtfully. You've changed so much, Isabel. I didn't think you could understand what I've gone through. Isabel smiled, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. I didn't either, until I opened myself up to it. It's amazing how much we can grow when we let go of our pride. Clara nodded in agreement. It's like we've both learned to see beyond our own struggles. I never thought I would find a friend in you. Isabel's eyes sparkled with warmth. And I never thought I would find someone like you, Clara. You've taught me that strength comes in many forms. As they watched their families playing together in the garden, laughter filled the air, marking a new beginning. Clara turned to Isabel, her heart full. Thank you for everything. You've changed my life. Isabel smiled back, her heart swelling with pride and joy. And you've changed mine, Clara. Together, we can face anything. In that moment, both women understood that true wealth lay not in material possessions, but in the connections they had forged. They stood side by side, ready to embrace whatever came next, hand in hand, united in their shared journey. Share this story if you believe that kindness can transform lives and bring people together. Leave a comment about a time when unexpected support made a difference in your life, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories like this one.